Ever feel like intimacy's a minefield? You want that connection, but something always gets in the way.
Uh-huh.
Well, today we're tackling that very struggle
Okay.
with insights from Janet Geringer, Voititz's struggle for intimacy.
Right.
Now, you might know Voititz from her work with adult children of alcoholics,
Yeah.
but this book's for anyone.
Definitely.
Anyone who's felt that yearning for closeness, but keeps hitting barriers.
Invisible barriers, yeah. What's remarkable is how this book redefines intimacy.
Oh,
It's not just physical touch. It's way deeper than that.
okay.
It's that feeling of really knowing and being known, you know?
I think I get you, yeah.
It's emotional vulnerability, trust, and that deep connection where you can be yourself, flaws and all.
Okay, but letting someone really see you, warts and all, that's got to be terrifying.
Sure, that fear is completely understandable.
Right.
Voititz really dives into that.
Yeah.
Explaining how our need to belong gets all tangled up with fear.
Fear of what?
Fear of rejection and pain.
Makes sense.
So we avoid intimacy or we build these superficial connections.
Right. It feels safe, but you're left empty. It's like wearing emotional armor.
Yeah,
You're protected, but also blocking connection.
absolutely.
So where do these fears come from, these patterns?
Well, Voitz highlights childhood experiences, especially family dynamics.
Oh, wow. So those early relationships,
They shape everything.
like our beliefs about ourselves,
Right.
about others,
Yeah.
and what to expect from connections.
Imagine growing up where a parent's moods make you constantly on edge.
Oh, I see.
That leads to fear of abandonment. Makes it hard to trust.
That someone will actually stick around.
Yeah,
Yeah, those early experiences, they're like the blueprint
totally.
for how we approach relationships. But how does this tie into adult children of alcoholics?
Well, Voitz argues they often face unique hurdles
Because of...
because of that instability, the inconsistency growing up.
Oh, got
It's like if you never knew what to expect from a parent,
Mm-hmm.
maybe due to their drinking, it becomes hard to trust that someone will consistently be there for you.
Okay.
And this can manifest in a few different ways.
Like how?
Well, they might be super sensitive to rejection,
Oh, yeah.
even sabotaging relationships before they can develop.
It's not even intentional, is it?
Often not, no. That fear is just so deep.
Yeah.
Another challenge is repeating those dysfunctional behaviors.
It's all growing up.
Yeah.
Even if they know it's not healthy, it's almost like they're trying to recreate it.
Uh-huh.
That familiar dynamic, even if it was painful.
Right.
Does this also impact how they express emotions?
Absolutely. If emotions were dismissed or met with anger,
Yeah.
you learn to shut down your feelings.
Just to survive.
Exactly. But then it's hard to connect deeply later.
Right. Imagine trying to build intimacy when you're not even comfortable expressing your own emotions.
Exactly.
That's got to be so tough. What can they do?
Mm-hmm.
Like ACOAs or anyone who relates
Yeah.
to break free from these patterns? Is it just willpower?
It's more than that.
Yeah.
White says self-awareness is that crucial first step.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the impact of childhood and understanding the behaviors. She even has an exercise in the book for identifying self-sabotaging behaviors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ones we're not even aware of.
Interesting.
It involves tracking your emotional responses in different situations
Okay.
and noticing any patterns.
So it's like shining a light on those ingrained patterns.
Yeah.
So you can challenge them. So it's not just intellectual understanding.
Yeah.
It's about observing those patterns in your own life.
Right.
That could be really eye-opening.
It is. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Therapy can provide a safe space to explore those issues.
Okay.
And support groups like Al-Anon offer community and understanding.
That feeling of I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah.
But what about those of us who didn't grow up in an alcoholic family, but still struggle with intimacy?
Oh, this applies to everyone.
Hmm.
While Voititz highlights these as common struggles for ACOAs, she makes it clear we all face challenges in relationships.
Right.
We all have baggage, insecurities, fears that trip us up.
That's why this book, Struggle for Intimacy,
Yeah.
becomes universally relevant.
Exactly.
Okay, so we all get in our own way when it comes to intimacy.
Yeah.
But how do we untangle those patterns?
Well, Voititz gives us these great tools for spotting destructive cycles
Okay.
that keep us stuck. She says, instead of blaming our partner,
Right.
we need to look inward.
Oh, I can already hear some listeners groaning.
Uh-huh.
Like, but it's not my fault. It's hard to look at ourselves.
It is, but that's where change happens.
Oh, okay.
Voititz has us ask these tough questions.
Okay.
Am I having the same arguments over and over? Is there this constant dissatisfaction in the relationship?
Yeah.
Am I hitting the same issues I had with past partners?
Oh, that relationship deja vu. It's like a roller coaster. Stuck going up the same hill, then plummeting down.
Exactly. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And that's why self-reflection is so important.
Okay.
Waits wants us to really look at our behaviors and thoughts, become aware of how we contribute to the dynamic we're complaining about.
So no blame game. We look in the mirror and ask, what's my part in this? But how do we do that?
Well, she gives this framework for identifying those patterns and understanding where they come from.
Okay.
She even delves into attachment theory,
Detachment theory, yeah.
explaining how childhood shapes our attachment style.
Secure, anxious, avoidant.
Right.
It can explain why we react the way we do.
Yeah,
Our past shapes how we relate, doesn't it?
totally. It doesn't just disappear.
But understanding our attachment style, that's just one piece, right?
It is.
What else can we do to break free?
Identifying our triggers, those things that set us off.
Oh, yeah.
They might be small, like a tone of voice, a facial expression,
Yeah.
but they evoke all this emotion from our past.
It's like they hijack us and we react in ways that don't make sense in the moment. But how do we even know what our triggers are? Sometimes it's so automatic.
Awareness is key. Voights recommends paying attention to your emotional responses all day.
All day long.
Yeah. Notice when you feel anger, anxiety, sadness.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what just happened? What thoughts or memories came up?
So by tuning into those subtle cues,
Uncover those patterns.
so we've done the self-reflection, we've identified cycles and triggers. What's next? How do we actually break free?
Communication.
Oh, okay.
Waits is big on open and honest dialogue with your partner.
But it's not just venting, is it?
No, it's about expressing yourself respectfully and constructively.
So not attacking or trying to win the argument.
Yeah.
It's understanding each other and finding a way forward.
Right.
But what if communication feels impossible? Like you're speaking different languages.
Then active listening is crucial, truly hearing what your partner is saying.
Even if you don't agree.
Even then, it's putting aside your defensiveness and trying to understand their view and expressing your needs clearly without blaming.
It makes sense, but sounds tough. It's like we need new communication skills.
Well, I do.
Any specific techniques she recommends?
She talks about reflective listening, paraphrasing to make sure you understand.
Oh, like saying, it sounds like you're hurt because I didn't keep my promise. Is that right?
Exactly.
That's so simple but powerful, shows you're really listening. But good communication isn't enough, is it?
You're right, it's one element.
Yeah.
Waits also talks about trust, calling it the bedrock of intimacy.
But how do you build trust, especially if it's been damaged? It feels so fragile.
Waits is clear, it's not something you just have or don't have.
Okay.
It's built through actions and reliability over time.
Actions speak louder than words, I guess.
Remember that story in the book, the couple who rebuilt trust after an affair?
I do, yeah.
It wasn't a grand gesture.
No.
It was the husband showing up for his wife in small ways every day.
Doing the dishes, being present during conversations, keeping promises.
Right. Small actions, repeated, slowly rebuilt that trust.
It shows trust isn't built through words. It's actions. Proving you're dependable.
Exactly.
Showing your partner they can rely on you.
It's that feeling of knowing someone has your back.
No matter what.
And Voigt says it takes time and patience.
It's like mending a precious fabric.
Yes. It needs a gentle touch and commitment to the process.
But when that trust is restored, it creates a much deeper connection.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to boundaries. Voigt's really focuses on their importance for intimacy. And it's something I think a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
What are boundaries and why are they so important?
That's interesting you say that because she distinguishes between boundaries and walls.
Walls.
Walls shut people out completely, creating distance.
Oh, okay.
But healthy boundaries, they're like fences.
Go
They
ahead.
define your space and protect you, but still allow connection.
So it's about knowing where you end and they begin and communicating that.
Right.
But how do you know if your boundaries are too rigid or too loose? That's where I think people get confused.
Think of loose boundaries like a sieve. You can't say no, others take advantage.
You're constantly overwhelmed, resentful.
Exactly. On the other hand, if they're too rigid,
Yeah.
you push people away, isolate yourself, can't open up.
It's like a fortress around your heart.
Yeah, keeping everyone at a distance.
So it's about finding that balance.
Right.
Protecting yourself without shutting everyone out. But how do you actually set boundaries? It can feel so confrontational.
Yeah.
Like you're risking the whole relationship by setting boundaries.
I get that. But Voigt says healthy boundaries are actually essential for a strong relationship.
Okay.
It's not about controlling anyone.
Right.
It's about communicating your needs and expectations clearly and respectfully.
So instead of saying, you always do this,
Yeah.
it's more like, I feel uncomfortable when this happens and I need you to.
Exactly. Taking ownership of your feelings and expressing them assertively. And remember, it's not a one-time thing setting boundaries.
It's ongoing.
It's a process. As the relationship changes, so do your needs and boundaries.
That's a good point. It's not about these rigid rules.
No.
It's about open and honest dialogue,
Yes.
navigating those shifts together. But we've talked about so much: breaking cycles, building trust, setting boundaries. What ties it all together?
Self-love.
Self-love.
Voigt argues you can't truly love another until you love yourself.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
What does that even look like? Self-love in practice?
It's not about narcissism or being self-absorbed.
Okay.
It's a deep sense of self-acceptance.
Okay.
Recognizing you're worthy of love no matter your flaws. Voigt points out that when we lack self-love,
Yeah.
we seek validation from others.
And that leads to neediness, insecurity,
Right. It's like we're trying to fill a void with the other person.
which puts so much pressure on the relationship.
Exactly.
But if we cultivate that self-love,
It changes everything.
we approach relationships differently.
Yes. From a place of wholeness, not neediness.
And that allows for more genuine connection.
It does.
Okay, I'm convinced. Self-love is important. But how do we cultivate it? It feels so abstract.
It doesn't have to be. Voigt suggests things like self-care.
Oh, okay.
Build in little rituals, a long bath, a walk in nature, listening to music.
I see.
Anything that nourishes you, reminds you of your worth.
So it's about treating yourself kindly.
Yes, like you would a dear friend.
And it's not selfish.
Not at all. When you take care of your own needs, you're better equipped for others.
Like filling your tank so you have something to give.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered so much in this deep dive.
Mm.
Fears that sabotage intimacy, self-awareness, communication, trust, boundaries, self-love. It's like Voigt gave us this whole toolkit for better relationships.
She did.
But what if someone's listening, feeling overwhelmed? Where do they even start?
That's a great question. Creating lasting change takes time.
Right.
You don't overhaul everything at once. Start small.
Okay, small steps.
Maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes a day, reflecting on your patterns.
I like that, yeah.
Or pick one communication skill, like reflective listening, and try it out.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Relationships are messy. There's no magic formula.
You just show up every day, willing to do the work, to communicate, listen, learn, grow.
Individually and together.
And that journey, even with challenges, can be so rewarding.
There's this Wheaties quote that I think sums it all up. Being true to yourself is the first step in being true to another.
It's such a powerful message. It's about owning who you are, your vulnerabilities, and showing up with an open heart, even when it's scary.
So if you're listening, wanting that deeper connection, but hitting those old fears,
You're not alone.
we all struggle with intimacy. But the good news is,
We can overcome it.
it starts with that first step, then another, and another.
And with each step, you get closer to those fulfilling relationships we all want.
That wraps up our deep dive into struggle for intimacy. Hope it was as insightful for you as it was for me. If you want more, I highly recommend Voigt's book. It's full of wisdom, practical guidance. It can really change your relationships.
agree. It stays with you.
As always, we'd love to hear from you. What resonated? Any questions? Share your thoughts on social media. We're listening. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep diving deep.